एक्चुअली मैं 4 साल के हुआ था, 16 था, इसके बाद बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा, but I'm a bit misfit, I think, but not misfit a lot, and from non-sciences. But science is at this stage, the stage of research, altogether, and there is no difference in being bridged together at this stage. So I will talk about the mountains of Pakistan in the scenario of biogeography, agrobiodiversity, and ethnoecology. Here are 3 terms: biogeography. इस तरह आपने कमेंट में भी कहा कि biogeography का रिलेशनशिप होना चाहिए, और दूसरा इसका agrobiodiversity के साथ चाहे लोग चाहे और फिनोमेना से लेके जो क्लाइमेट शिफ्ट है उसका क्या है, और फिर उसमें प्रोपोजेनिक एक्टिविटी जो है उस इकोलॉजी को हमारा एथनिक ग्रुप से वो कैसे चेंज कर लेते हैं। ये बड़ा लंबा प्रेजेंटेशन है, but I will skip some of the slides. This is Swat Valley, just an introduction about the place where I am born. And this is my village, a small village, Basara Valley. And the objective of this presentation is just to introduce the world's highest mountain system, Himalaya Incursion Karakoram, in terms of biogeography, agrobiodiversity, and ecology. And what is their importance and how the climate change shift these mountains. These are the contents of this talk. But I will, as I said, I will skip some of the things. I will mainly want to emphasize the plant endemism, because when the climate change happens, it affects the plant, the endemic plants, the plants which can grow only in these mountains, right, in Pakistan. So, because we have been given the 10 minutes time, this is the geographer know much better. Tropical, subtropical, temperate, and alpine distribution of plants and vegetation over the globe. And then how climate defines the boundaries of vegetation. So in the galaxy of geographer, I'm not going into details, but geography shape botany or shape plants as well. And over the globe, we can read the forest types, the global forest types. And the temperate vegetation, because Pakistani mountains, I'm talking about mountains, and the mountains above certain level from sea, that is about 1200 to 1300, the ecosystem becomes temperate, and our Himalaya and Indocushian Karakoram are mainly temperate ecosystems. And when we come to Pakistan, everyone knows and everyone tells that we have a different kind of landscape from below sea level up to K2, about 9,000 meters from sea level. And due to that, we have a lot of biodiversity, especially phytodiversity, plant diversity. And why these mountains are important, they reach the point of juggernaut. And these are important because due to these mountain systems, the world's highest population, the population of China, Pakistan, and India, this is due to these mountains, because the mountains give rise to water in the form of rivers, and these rivers then give us crops and so on. And you know about Himalaya, Karakoram, and Indocushian, I'm not going to get into detail. But Pakistan is very important because it is on the border, some of its northern areas are on the fault line, on the border of Eurasian and Indian plate, and the geologists know that the region which is the coinciding place of 2 plates can give rise to different kinds of flora, different kinds of plants. Because in the ancient past, when there was the Caspian Sea, so the Eurasian plate from north and or Indian plate from south and collide with the place of Kavan, that is known as Kavan eclogyte. It gives rise to 2 kinds of flora. One flora from Central Asia and China, and another flora from south, which is the tropical sort of floor. So you know about the Karakoram 500 kilometer length or less. And these are certain glimpses. Some of my PhDs have worked in Karakoram, so these are pictures from one of my PhDs here from Skardu and his research work. And then the Himalayas, you know that the world's largest mountain system on the global is there. And plants are there, and this is the Narangeli, which is the place of my PhD studies. And then the Hindu Kush mountain range, geographical words, location, everything. And these are certain picture places of Hindu Kush range, and how the people live there. There's Suleiman range, and one of my students worked in Kuram agency, and these are pictures from Ziran Valley, Kuram agency, Manwara, area. And these are certain villages in the intensive water. And then I will come to the distribution. We have coastal mangroves, dry tropical forests, subtropical forests, temperate forests, and alpine forests. I will go very rapidly from this slide just to reach to my denizon. And you know that what kind of plants occur in different ecosystems, temperate, tropical, subtropical, temperate, and alpine. And then the total forest cover is 4.8%, which is far below the international standards. And then we have some amazing pastures as well in our alpine region. And then I will come to some archaeological findings, which tells that the main civilization which happened in Yangtze Valley, Indus Valley, fertile crescent of Mesopotamia, the Nile River, Euphrates, and those areas. And these are the places of plants migration or seed domestication. So the crop domestication started from these areas. And these are our research collaborators and groups. And when we come to the plants, so there are more than 4 plant species in the world. Out of these, about 35,000 are medicinal in nature. And in Asia, there are 6,500 medicinal plants. And Unani take 21,000 of plants. And all these climate shifts affect the wild plants alongside the crops as well. So we have to think about the wild plants as well. As I mentioned that I will focus on plant intelligence. Why mountains are important and why Pakistan is important? Pakistan is custodian of the 3 largest mountain ranges as I mentioned. And these mountain ranges, when we talk about the phytogeography, so this place, the blue color line is Holo-Arctic kingdom in phytogeography. Holo-Arctic kingdom has 64 endemic families of plants. And the tropical kingdom, this yellow color, it includes 36 endemic families of plants, which are not happening in the Holo-Arctic. And Pakistan is the junction place of both kingdoms. There are very few countries of the world which enjoy the nature of 2 kingdom systems. There are 5 kingdom systems. This was devised by a Russian phytogeographer, Saptajan, who read best books, 2 books, one plant taxonomy, another is phytogeography. So Pakistan is part of Paleotropical, and in Paleotropical it has the African subkingdom surrounding the Asian region, and South Iranian and Sindhian province, and it has unique plants. And similarly, it has Holoarctic vegetation or Holoarctic flora from Irano-Turanian region of Northern Balochistan, Western Himalayan, and Tibetan province. I'm not talking about the administrative provinces, and these are the touristic provinces of Pakistan. This is Western Himalayan province. This is South Iranian province, North Balochistan province, and this is the Indonesian region near Shujaul. And this whole is Sindhian province. And the monsoon belt in the mountain range is Japanese belt. So this pattern starts from Korea and reaches up to Panchkora River, is mentioned by Shujaul, where the monsoon range reaches. And this kind of classification gives us these 5 different kinds of provinces. And this is the reason that Pakistan is touristically one of the diverse countries in the world. And we are also having special number of endemic plants as well. So these are the provinces. You can see those touristic provinces, not administrative provinces. And when we talk about the endemic plants, endemic are those which are grown in one area but not present in others. So Pakistan boasts about 400 endemic plants. And these endemic plants are extremely fragile to climate change. When climate change happens, first of all, let us take the endemic plants, because the endemic plants have very narrow range of distribution, very narrow ecological amplitude, and due to their narrow ecological amplitude, the endemic plants are affected at the start of any change in the climate, whether it is precipitation phenomena or temperature range, etc. So Pakistan boasts 5 genera, these Dubia, Suleimania, Coriniana, Vindibua, and Spinoceres, which are complete genus which are endemic, which are present only in Pakistan. So what is the point of my emphasis? If these endemic plants disappear from Pakistan, it means they disappear from the world. And if they disappear from the world, it means we have some reduction in the gene pool. And I will link it to the Nobel laureate Mulk. Mulk was a creator of Mexico wheat, due to which the hunger finished and due to whom the Green Revolution happens. So what Mulk did, Mulk takes some genes against the rust disease of wheat from Thinophyra, a plant, a grass, and another, Agelop ashai, another grass. And he transferred those genes to wheat crop. So suppose that Agelop and Thinophyra were not there, so how he could aid the gene, how could he aid or transfer those genes from Thinophyra or Agelop to wheat? So that's why I emphasize that endemic plants are important. Once they disappear, we will not have them forever, and they can be a source of resistant disease. As I mentioned, that against the rust gene, rust disease, the gene was transferred from another grass. So endemic plants are extremely important in the scenario of climate change. And why they are important? Because they have very small population size, restricted geographical areas, habitat specificity, little genetic variability, and limitation of dispersal and migration. Some plants disperse wildly, cosmopolitanly distributed, and some have very narrow range, and endemic have very narrow range. And what are the threats to these endemics? Mainly anthropogenic threats like habitat loss, habitat degradation, overexploitation, invasive species, fragmentation, and climate change efforts. And then, how to conserve these endemic plants? So first of all, we don't have the baseline data, and IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, devised different categories for plants, and our endemic plants have not been categorized so far. It needs the input of geographer as well as plant scientists, because the occupancy level, the range of occurrence is important, it is linked to geography. So geographer can work on endemic plants as well. And how to conserve this is, I mentioned baseline studies, identification of topographic and climatic factor, limitation, population trends, conservation status, application of modern approaches as mentioned by many of us in the form of radar technology or GIS, etc. And this is one of the case study from my PhD. This is a slide from Naran Valley. The Naran Valley hosts 64 endemic plants out of those 400 from these 3 mountain systems. So this is a sketch of Naran Valley at the basin of the valley. There are 5 endemics, and some of them are endangered, some of them are critically endangered. Endangered and critically endangered are some botanical terms which are used for those plants which are at risk in near future. And all these plants can be linked to all the calamities and the disasters like flood and things like that. Because not only in those alpine regions, I take the alpine community, the fifth community, there are 8 critically endangered and 19 endemic plants. So the plants are not present in the alpine region. The glaciers start from the first drop of snow over there. So we have to focus on those endemics. And these are the distribution of some of the endemics of Pakistan. For example, these are botanical with different names. The Sodomertensia roalii and its distribution. So it's endemic to Pakistan. And you can say that it is distributed only in Hazara and the Kashmir region. So in the whole world, these plants happen in this particular zone of Hazara and Kashmir and not elsewhere. Similarly, Primula hazarika, only in Hazara region. Similarly, Animum falconeri in some region of KP. You can see the distribution in plants. Sodomertensia, Mulk, and Swartia thompsoni. Swartia thompsoni is a plant, medicinal plant, and it is on the list of CITES. CITES is the Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species. You cannot sell out this species from the country. So this is an extremely important species and grow in these mountains. And then these are the issues for exploitation, deforestation, timber collection, and medicinal plants collection, unwise collection that people collect one plant but damage all the nearby plants. And then fodder collection, unwise fodder collection, they cut all the plants. Then formation of dams. Shakisa has talked about dams, but usually we conservationists are against a lot of their construction because they damage our biodiversity. And then pollution, and then invasive species. You know the Parthenium, you can see in the picture, and this ox-eye daisy. These have taken the habitat of nature plants. And then the agriculture expansion in the mountainous range, the people used to remove snow cover and grow the short season crops. And where we are grazing, you can see that where the snow melts, the grazer reaches. And the plants don't have the time to flourish. And you can see the extensive grazing. So there must be some mechanism for alternative grazing, like in developed nations, they graze one mountain 1 year and the others in the next year. But in Pakistan, if you visit any picnic point in Swat, Kalam, Kudrat, and Naran, you can see the huge anthropogenic pressure in the form of grazing, tourists, etc. And then those grazing and all those things give rise to erosion. And when we talk about the erosion, and when we talk about the place in the river flood, it can easily be linked to the anthropogenic activities and the occurrence of plants, and the occurrence of especially those endemic plants, which have very narrow range of distribution. And then in some areas we have the problem of fire. Some human do intentional fire to get wood for timber and or fuel wood and so on. And when we talk about the Himalayas in Karakoram and Hindu, so this is the biodiversity hotspot. There are only few hotspots in the world, and you can see this Hindu-Kush Himalaya region in the hotspot, and 25% of unique flora is present in these mountains. In developing countries where we stand, over there, nowhere, far away, somewhere, no idea, not sure, uncertain, distant, and question mark. And still we haven't taken our rivers there as well. When we will take the rivers? This is the Lalasa in Naran area, picnic spot, but it has been damaged by the agricultural extension. And these are some of the wild food. And in the era of shortage of food security, we need to introduce some wild food in our food system as well. and which can come from these mountains. And we have river systems, this river system, I'm not going to detail, just going through the slides, and our beautiful lakes. So we have the potential of tourism as well. And our bridges, and you are familiar with those. Garages, canal systems, or fruits. But what will happen when Sanaulla sir was telling about the pollution in the plastic and the sewage water? What will be the food safety apart from food security? Scientists are working very extensively, especially plant scientists, agriculture, related scientists, to work on the food shortage and food security. But now there is a big issue of food safety. That we are having contamination of food. And this is the pass between Upper Beer and Swat. And this is the, I'm not interested in my picture, I'm interested in the plant. This is Polymus feliciana. And this plant due to a viral disease, only few individuals. Less than 10,000 in Pakistan now. And this is extremely important plant because it is used in a lot of medicines against the high cholesterol receptors. And this is my research group, my students, University, PhD and MPhil. And thank you so much.